common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And joining us now, we have Joe Concha. He is, of course, the great media expert there at Fox News. And he also has a brand new book called Progressively Worse, which is sure to be another huge, big bestseller. Joe, first off, we just heard from President Trump a little bit ago. He did a news conference, answered a million questions. And the press should be saying, well, where is Kamala Harris? She's not answering a single question at a press conference. Your thoughts?
Rita, Katz, by my count, Donald Trump took 42 questions during this press conference. That's exactly 42 more questions than Kamala Harris has taken since Joe Biden was bullied out of running again 18 days ago. Here's a fun stat, by the way. Ms. Harris has not held a single press conference in the 5+ years she's been on the presidential level, vice presidential level, since she first announced running for president back in early 2019. She also has not earned a single vote. And by the way, Trump's strategy here was a masterstroke regarding these debates, because in the modern political era, it has always been traditional that the general election candidates hold 3 presidential debates. So given the precedent, Harris has to agree to the 3 debates Trump agreed to on Fox, on NBC, on ABC, because otherwise she will be the very coward she and her media allies hilariously accused Trump, the guy who took a shot nearly to his head in his ear just a couple of weeks ago, of being. So this teleprompter candidacy for Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, the momentum is changing. You could feel it. The sugar high is ending, guys.
Judge Weinberg.
Joe, good to talk to you again. I'll tell you what's troubling to me.
Hey, Judge.
Not only are they trying to hide Harris the same way they hid Biden, but what they're also trying to do, in the most Orwellian sense, is whitewash her record, reinvent this woman. Yeah. She has a record, as does Walz, and they're in total denial, and they expect the American people to buy that there's a new Kamala Harris, who closed the border, who's always for fracking, who's has great concerns about inflation. She's already said day one she's a top deal with inflation. By the way, wasn't she the one who broke the ties to pass all that legislation that raised the inflationary rate?
The Inflation Reduction Act that didn't reduce inflation, Judge? Yes, exactly.
It increased inflation.
Exactly. Thank you. Look, here's the record, guys. And this is all on tape. It's all on video. It's not grainy video. This is what she said when she was running for president the first time while she's been vice president. Kamala Harris opposes domestic energy like fracking and fossil fuels. She opposes ICE, border wall construction, remain in Mexico policy. She supports, however, sanctuary cities, which in New York, we see how that's working out for us. She supports sex changes for minors, like my 10-year-old daughter, my 8-year-old son, without the parents even knowing, without our permission. She supports raising taxes, which worked out really well for Walter Mondale. She supports violent felons voting from jail. She wants to expand the Supreme Court. She wants to end the filibuster. And another, by the way, and I'll leave it here. If the economy is the number one issue, answer this question. What business experience, like Katz has, does Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have exactly when they're going to solve this whole inflation issue? Because the answer is zero. That's kind of a big deal, and I think that's something that Trump should absolutely hammer home.
And by the way, your book, Joe Concha, is called Progressively Worse. It does get worse because she picks Tim Walz. Just as you brought up. I mean, you talked about a lot of the policies of Kamala Harris. When I look at Tim Walz, all I kept thinking about is burn, baby, burn, because that's what he allowed to happen in Minneapolis when he was the governor. He could have sent in the National Guard. He did not. And then, to me, when you look at it, he has to answer questions, too. I can't wait for that debate when it's him and J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance, is practically a genius, so that should be very interesting, because you're right. $500 million in damage to Minneapolis. The police precinct looked like the Nakatomi Plaza at the end of Die Hard when that was burned to the ground. And as you said, Walz could have brought in the National Guard days earlier after all that violence began, but he refused to. And you go through his record, and it's even scarier than Kamala Harris. I mean, this is a guy who installed tampon machines in elevators school boys' bathrooms. Again, I have a third grader. I can't even think about what maniac would do something like that. This guy supported a carbon-free electrical grid by 2040 in Minnesota, which, by the way, if you last heard, has the coldest weather basically in the country, and that's just simply not going to work. This guy also supports sanctuary cities. There's an interview he did on CNN 2019 where he said he wanted to invest in a ladder company just to allow illegal migrants to get over Trump's border wall and enter the country. So I can't believe that Kamala Harris blew this utter 2-inch putt as far as you pick Josh Shapiro. He's a popular governor in Pennsylvania. It's 61% approval. Whoever wins Pennsylvania probably wins the election. And instead, she goes with somebody even more left than Bernie Sanders. And I think this is the big game changer right here, guys. And the debates, as I said before, I'll say it again, those are everything as far as Trump and Harris. And at least we know there's one in the books. There should be 3.
Yeah, boy, oh boy. Joe, great to have you here, and congrats on another big book. Thank you, Joe. We love you. Thank you,
Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rita. Judge Katz.
By the way, if we can give you a book party, let me know.
Yeah.
Oh, I love book parties. Yes, no, for
We'll talk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've earned one.